So now we're going to play this game and we'll see what we got. Alright, I would definitely say we're going to go with f of x. I'm going to look at the intercepts first to kind of tell me what the form of the graph would be. That would be x plus 1 because it crosses over here at negative 1, and x minus 3 because it crosses over here at positive 3. I'm going to check to see what the intercept is. Now the y-intercept would be setting f of or x equal to 0. That's one way to write that. So you plug in 0 in for x and you go 0 plus 1 is just plus 1, and 0 minus 3 is negative 3. So 1 times negative 3 is negative 3. Wait a second, here's the problem. Negative 3 is over here. Our actual y-intercept is down here at negative 6. What do I need to do to negative 6 to make it negative 3? Oh, I simply need to multiply that by 2. Right? So let's try this. Let's try multiplying this thing by 2, the whole thing. Alright, now we can check our answer. I guess we would just plug in 0 again. That would be 2 times plus 1 times negative 3. If you multiply all that out, that comes out to negative 6. So I would argue that this indeed is actually your equation. It kind of looks like the same thing as if this were, it kind of looks like the same thing as this. But the difference is it needs to be a little bit more steeper. As it needs to be a little bit more stretched out vertically. Because this graph up here, this one right here, that would look kind of like this. It would go through that point and over here. So the parabola that you originally had, you know, without any numbers out in front, was a little bit more shallow than the parabola that we actually see. So we kind of need to adjust for that and make it a little bit more steeper, or vertically stretch this thing by pulling this side this way and pulling these guys up to make it look like that black graph is well, you know, that in order to do that we need to get that 2 in there. Alright, let's see, and a few more of these. Alright, this is pretty straightforward. X minus 1, x minus 3. That's what my guess is, but there's always a possibility that there's a number out there and I don't know. That would be that a value. So let's check to see what the y-intercept of this is for now. That would be negative 1 times negative 3, which is positive 3. Because you plug in 0 here and that's negative 1. Plug in 0 here and that's negative 3. Multiply those two together, you get positive 3. But that's not what my actual y-intercept is. My y-intercept looks like it's 9. So I think that for me, that kind of tells me that number that has to be there is I gotta bring everything up by a factor of 3. I'll tell you what, let's pull up in Desmos and see what we got. Desmos graphing calculator. Don't be reading my emails. Okay, 1 second. Alright, let's see. I'm guessing that this thing is going to look like 3 times x minus 1, x minus 3. Alright, good. So, let's check to see if this graph meets our criteria. It crosses here at 1, 0, it crosses here at 3, 0, and it crosses over here at 0, 9. Well, that's exactly what's going on. 1, 0, 3, 0, 0, 9. We can even take a stab at just to where we think that the vertex is. This isn't a part of it, but I mean, let's see if the graph confirms what our eyes think we see. This thing crosses over here at 2, negative 3 about. And if you go over here, that's 2, negative 3. Looks like we're good. Now let's try this one right here. So, right off the bat, you can see that this parabola is upside down, which means, alright, this would be x plus 4, that accounts for that. This would be x minus 2. And since the parabola is upside down, I think that I'm just going to throw in that negative just for good luck. A negative out in front of that parabola would flip that thing over. Let's also see this. If I were to plug in x equals 0 to figure out what the y-intercept of this equation would be, By the way, this is f of x equals to negative x plus 4 times x minus 2. What is the y-intercept of what my guessed equation would be? That would be negative 1, because that accounts for that negative, times positive 4 times negative 2, which is simply negative 1 times 4 is negative 4 times negative 2, which would be positive 8. Here's the problem, is I'm over here at positive 4. So how do I make an 8 into a 4 using multiplication? I need to half that. I need to reduce that by 2, or divide by 2. So that kind of makes my graph a little bit more shallow, which is what I see over here. Cool. And then you can, yeah, I mean, that's it. That's that.